Hi students, welcome back. This is your teacher Ma'am Nich, and today we will be talking about the other linguistic form of literature, which is prose. To begin with, let us define literature. Literature in its broadest sense refers to any written work. It originated from the Latin word literatura, which means writing formed with letters. So generally, anything that you read is literature. So why is literature important? First and foremost, it serves as an art form used for expression. It allows people to express our thoughts, feelings, and ideas in written form. Secondly, it preserves cultural ideals, customs, and morals. Through reading different texts, we get to explore other cultures and discover more about the world. And third, it gives us a deeper context into the lives and livelihood of people distinct from ourselves. Sometimes, reading literary pieces from around the world surprises us on things we do not know about people and makes us realize that we are amazingly different from one another. This is how powerful literature is. Now let us talk about prose. Prose is simply the opposite of poetry in literature. If a written work is not poetry, therefore it is prose. Prose is a form of language that possesses ordinary syntax and natural speech rather than rhythmic structure. It refers to the common way that human beings speak and communicate. In our previous lessons, I have given you examples of how poetic language differs from prose. This one is taken from the poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. In its original poetic verse, the poem looks like this. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. The opposite text is written in prosodic form but still contains the same sentiment. The woods look lovely against the setting darkness, and as I gaze into the mysterious depths of the forest, I feel like lingering here longer. However, I have pending appointments to keep and much distance to cover before I settle in for the night, or else I will be late for all of them. The paragraph is conveying a similar message, but it is presented in ordinary language without a formal metrical structure to bind it. Some common types of prose include non-fictional prose, fictional prose, heroic prose, and prose poetry. Non-fictional prose is a literary work like essays, biographies, and autobiographies that are mainly based on facts. Nonfiction means facts or reality. Fictional prose, on the other hand, is holistically or partially imagined stories like novels and stories. Fiction means fantasy. Heroic prose is a literary work that might be recorded or recounted and which utilizes a significant number of the standard articulations found in oral custom. Legends, folklore, and epic stories are examples of these. And the last is prose poetry. Based on the term itself, this combines the features of both poetic and prosodic language. It is a literary work that shows poetic characteristics and nature and utilizing passionate impacts and elevated symbolism. An example of this is narrative poem. This time, let me give you some examples of prose in literature. First is prose in novels. This is usually written in the form of a narrative and may be entirely a figment of the author's imagination. The first example is from David Copperfield by Charles Dickens. Whether I shall turn out to be the hero of my own life, or whether that station will be held by anybody else, these pages must show. Another example is from Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. These examples of prose have been taken from novels where the writers have employed their imaginations. They are examples of fictional prose. Now let us have examples of prose in speeches. Prose used in speeches often expresses thoughts and ideas of the speaker. This one is taken from the Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech by Mother Teresa. The poor are very great people. They can teach us so many beautiful things. Another example is by U.S. Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm. Equal rights for women speech. As for the marriage laws, they are due for a sweeping reform, and an excellent beginning would be to wipe the existing ones off the books. These prose examples have been taken from speeches where the writing is often crisp and persuasive and suits the occasion to convey a specific message. And now let us have examples of prose in plays. Prose written in plays aim to be dramatic and eventful. Just like this one taken from Cat on a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams. You can be young without money, but you can't be old without it. And taken from As You Like It by William Shakespeare. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Prose in plays is frequently in conversational mode and is conveyed by a character. Notwithstanding, its style remains the equivalent all through the play as indicated by the character of the character. Fiction incorporates short stories, books, fantasies, anecdotes, sentiments, and legends. For the most part, center around one or a couple of significant characters that manage issues or challenges in their lives. And that's the first part of our lesson about prose. Before I leave you, let me recall some of the important information taken from this lecture. Literature comes from the Latin word literatura, which means writing formed with letters. Prose is a form of language which possesses ordinary syntax and natural speech. Prose can be fictional, non-fictional, heroic, and poetic. And last one is prose can be used in novels, speeches, and plays. Thank you very much. Once again, this is your teacher, Ma'am Nich. You may now answer the activities in your worksheets. Have a good day!